Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to install the SMB cold air intake on this 2017 3.5 liter Ecoboost F-150. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so the first thing we need to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. You can use a 13mm to do that. Alright, so now we're up by our factory airbox, and we're going to loosen our hose clamp that's connecting our tube to our airbox with a 7mm nut driver. And then once that's loose, we're going to go ahead and pull the tube off of the airbox. Now we can unclip our airbox lid and actually remove that from the vehicle, and then also we're going to remove our factory air filter. Next, we're going to unplug our sensor from our main tube. It's just going to have a push button on the side, and you should be able to push that in and pull it out like that. So next, I'm going to loosen the hose clamp that is connected from our tube to our passenger side turbo. Again, I'm going to use my 7mm nut driver. Just loosen that up. And then we're going to loosen the one that's connecting our driver's side turbo. So below our main tube is going to be where our inlet connects to our driver's side turbo. And this is the band clamp right here. And the nut is on the back side. It might be a little bit hard for you to see me loosen the hose clamp. But once you get that loose, you should be able to remove this whole tube from the turbos. Now on the side of the airbox, we're going to have a 13mm bolt that needs to be removed. You're going to want to keep that. We're going to reuse that when we install our SMB intake. So like I said, just set that aside. We're going to reuse that bolt. Next, we need to take off these two clips that are holding on a wiring harness to our intake box. Those should just pop out. We also have one on this side over here as well. So now on the front of the inlet, we're going to have two plastic rivets that need to be removed. We can use a flathead screwdriver to do that. And then once you do that, this whole system is ready to come out. Alright guys, so we have our new airbox. We got our factory airbox. There's going to be a grommet on the side that's going to have a metal sleeve and a grommet, and you're going to need to remove that, just like that. And we're going to have to install it onto our new airbox. Now the easiest way to do that is actually to remove the metal sleeve altogether, and then insert the rubber. Right into the side like that. Make sure the sides all come out. And then our metal sleeve, we're going to go into the inside. And then push it through the grommet. Alright guys, next we're going to have to install a bracket right next to where our intake tube is going to go. And we're going to put our bracket and bolt through the hole, and then we're going to have a washer and a locking nut on the back, and then we can go ahead and tighten that down. We're going to use a 7/16 wrench and socket, just like that. So now we're going to install our inlet tube seal over our inlet opening. You're going to want to make sure that the tab is to the bottom, And then we're going to take a large hose clamp and tighten that down over the top. We're going to tighten that down using a 8mm nut driver. All right, now we're going to install our inlet scoop onto our airbox, and that's just going to fit right over the top like that. Now on your intake box, you're going to have 2 holes in the top and 2 holes on the bottom of where the inlet scoop installs. And your inlet scoop is going to have 2 holes on the top and bottom as well to match up. You're also going to get 8 plastic rivets. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to put 1 through the top and then 1 through the bottom, and then they're going to clip together and lock into place. We're going to do that on all 4 locations. So now we got our top 2 in. Now we're going to flip it over and do the bottom 2. All right, now we got our factory intake tube, and we need to remove our sensor so that we can install it on our new intake tube. Now to do this, you're going to turn it counterclockwise, and then you're just going to pull it out. All right, so we got our new intake tube, and now we're going to install our grommet for our sensor. And that's going to fit right into the hole on the side. You can just kind of push that into place until it pops in like that. And now before we can install our new sensor, we need to make sure that we take this O-ring off of it. So we're just going to use a pry tool to get that started, and then that piece can just come off like that. So then we can install our sensor same way we took it out of the other one, just straight in, kind of work it in a little bit, make sure that grommet doesn't get pushed through to the other side. And the only thing we want to be careful of is we want to make sure that this tab on the sensor lines up with the notch in the intake tube. You want to get that sensor worked all the way down so that notch is resting on the rubber grommet. All right, so now we got our intake tube, and we're going to have a couple couplers that we have to install on it. We have a smaller one that's going to install on the smaller side of our tube. So we're also going to take a smaller hose clamp, put that over the top, and then install that all the way up to the bead on the intake tube, and then we're going to go ahead and use our 8mm nut driver and tighten that down. So now we're going to take our larger coupler. Again, we're going to take now this time a medium size hose clamp, put that over the top, and install that onto our intake tube all the way up to the bead. And then again, we're going to tighten that part down with our 8mm nut driver. And then our other 2 clamps, we're just going to put over the top and then just loosely tighten them down so that basically we just want to hold them there so they don't fall off. That one there, and then the smaller one on the smaller coupler. just like that. So your new intake box is going to have 2 prongs on it, and those are going to match up with the 2 prongs that were on your factory box and the 2 grommets that were underneath of it. So those are going to match up as we put the new one in, and then we're going to drop it into position. You should feel it slide into place. So now I have our air filter and I have a large hose clamp. I'm just going to fit that over the seal and just leave it loose for right now, and then we can drop this into our air box. Alright, so now we got our intake tube, and we're going to put that into our box seal, and it's actually going to push through into the air box all the way up to until this rim here. Now, there's not going to be a whole lot of room, so you're just going to have to do your best to kind of squeeze it in there. You might have to lift up on your intake box a little bit to line them up. But then once you do, you should be able to push it in there. Just like that. All right, now that we got our intake tube in, we can go ahead and reinstall our 13mm bolt. Just get that bolt hand started, and then you can go ahead and tighten it down. All right, now we can slip our air filter over our intake tube and tighten down our band clamp with our 8mm nut driver. All right, now we're going to slide our passenger turbo into our coupler, and then we can go ahead and tighten down those band clamps. Again, using our 8mm driver. All right, now we're going to connect our driver's side turbo. All right, now once you get that coupler to slide over, you can tighten down those hose clamps, again with our 8mm nut driver. Now we can clip our vacuum line into the bracket we installed earlier. Just push that right in. All right, so now your kit's going to come with a harness extension. The small end is going to plug into the larger end that you left on the vehicle, just like that. And then we're going to run that up to our new sensor location on our intake, right there. All right, so your inlet scoop is going to have holes where your factory inlet was taken out of, and you're going to get 2 new push pins to go in there. You're just going to push those down and then push them the top down to lock into place. Just like that. And like that. Next, we're going to install our clear inspection lid. Make sure you put the rubber seal around the lid first, and then we're going to get 6 Phillips head bolts and rubber washers to go with those. We're going to start all those by hand first, and then we can tighten them down. All right guys, so the last thing we need to do is reconnect our battery. All right guys, that completes the installation. If you have any questions, give us a call or visit us online.